Hello, Gentle Explainer here. Today, I am going to gently explain a thriller mystery movie called The Weekend Away. Today's story is about two best friends who go to a beautiful country for the weekend, but what started as fun and enjoyment suddenly turns into fear and mystery when one of the girls disappears after a party. When her body is found 2 days later, suspicion falls on the best friend she loved most. The police are also confused as to who the real killer is. Is it her best friend or someone else playing this game behind the scenes? The story begins with a girl named Beth who has come to Croatia to visit her best friend, Kate. A driver named Zane picks her up from the airport and drops her off at Kate's lodge. But when she starts paying for the fare, Zane claims Kate has already paid, and they are very well acquainted. With this, he returns the money. Just then, Kate comes downstairs to meet her, and the two friends are overjoyed to see each other after so long. Kate then takes her to her lodge, where she's currently renting a house. In fact, Kate invited Beth there, so they could have a great time together over the weekend. They start chatting while drinking champagne, and Beth gifts Kate a necklace, which she really likes. Later that night, Beth is talking to her husband, Rob, and their son on a video call, and we learn that Rob and Beth's relationship isn't going well, but they're just trying to be nice. Kate then arrives and, while talking to Rob, tells her that they're going out to a party and are going to have a lot of fun. Then, as they're leaving, they meet the lodge owner, Jay. Kate introduces him to Beth. They end up at a fancy restaurant where Kate orders expensive wine and food. Kate is about to divorce her husband Luca. However, she still has Luca's credit card and is using it freely, without Luca knowing. Beth says that her relationship with Rob isn't going well either. They've been separated for almost a year, and they're not even talking openly. After dinner, Kate is seen arguing with someone on the phone. She returns and tells Beth that Luca has blocked her credit card and she'll have to pay the bill. After paying the dinner bill, they take Zane's taxi to a club to party. The atmosphere at the club is very lively. A group of people were dancing merrily. They first grab a drink from the bar. Then, Kate notices two boys and takes Beth with her. They're named Sebastian and Pavić, who treat her very nicely. Kate actually wants Beth to enjoy some special time together to help her overcome her problems with Rob, but Beth refuses, saying she's a married woman. Then, the two boys bring them special drinks, and the four of them start talking while drinking. Kate says, "Why don't you two come home with us?" Then, something happens, which isn't shown clearly, and the scene cuts to Beth waking up the next morning, terrified. She doesn't remember anything from the previous night, and seems to have consumed too much alcohol. Afterward, she begins searching for Kate, but she's nowhere to be found in the house. Then she spots Kate's clothes, alcohol bottles, and then some blood on the floor, which further increases her anxiety. This is where the main twist in the story begins. But before we continue, I want to tell my YouTube family to please leave a small comment, or like after watching the video, so we can stay motivated and bring you even more great stories. Now, let's move on to the story. Beth calls Kate in a panic, but her phone is out of network. Then she video calls Rob and tells him everything. Rob says she might have left her at home and gone to another party. She's like that. Don't worry, she'll probably be home by evening. Beth then inquires with the lodge owner, Jay, but he too has no idea. He says that boys aren't allowed here, but still, Kate brought two boys to the apartment last night, and I don't know anything beyond that. Now, with no way out, Beth goes to the police station where an officer named Kovač interrogates her. Beth explains that the boys came to the house too, but she doesn't remember anything. Kovač says, "Perhaps you two drank too much last night, and your friend might have gone to another party with those two boys." Such cases often occur, and most people return by evening. So, it would be better if you don't file a complaint right now and wait a little longer. Still worried, she calls Zane and tells him, "We met two boys at the club you took us to last night, but Kate hasn't come home since." Hearing this, Zane helps her, and the two go to the club again. After questioning the barman, they learn that the two men frequent the bar. They never reveal their real names and look for excuses to hook up with new girls. Unable to find much information, Beth comes to the lodge, but that night, she finds the addresses of the two boys on social media and tells Zane. Zane then finds their numbers and invites them to a party the next day, where he and Beth are already present. Meanwhile, they start introducing themselves to each other. Just then, the two boys arrive, but upon seeing Beth, They start running. Zane chases them and finally catches one of them, threateningly asking, "What did you two do to that girl?" He confesses that they went to Kate's house that night but didn't do anything to her. They only stole her purse and mobile phone, but he begs her not to tell the police and returns the mobile phone and bag. Beth takes the mobile phone and purse and goes back to the police station. Zane tells her, "Please don't tell the police about me because I've come to Croatia with great difficulty. If the police find my name, my visa could be cancelled." Beth agrees and goes to the police station, telling only about the boys. This time, a female officer named Ivana handles her, and Kovač is also present. 24 hours later, Kate hasn't returned home, so Beth files a police report. Ivana asks her if she was drugged. Beth says it's possible because after a small drink, she couldn't remember anything. She's then given a test, the report of which is due in 24 hours. Beth leaves and calls Kate's ex-husband, Luka, and tells him everything, but Luka doesn't take it seriously, saying Kate has a habit of suddenly disappearing. She's done this to him many times, so don't worry, she'll be back. When Beth returns, Jay tells her that Kate's rent has expired, and if she wants to stay longer, she'll have to pay according to the new rates. But then he offers her a smaller, lower rent room, so Beth is forced to move into that room. After this, she calls Zane, and Beth is very hungry, so they decide to go and have dinner somewhere first. But then Rob suddenly arrives. He says, "I've been calling since morning, but you're not picking up." But seeing them together, Rob thinks Beth might be dating Zane. Hearing this, Beth becomes emotional and says, "I'm stuck here dealing with a problem with my best friend, and you're suspecting me." Hearing this, Rob tries to be understanding and apologizes to Beth. After returning to the apartment, Beth receives a call informing her that Kate's dead body has been found. Upon hearing this, they rush to the hospital, where Beth breaks down in tears upon seeing her best friend's body. The police are also present, and the doctor explains that Kate died by drowning, but whether it was a murder or an accident will only be revealed in the autopsy report. Beth now has Kate's phone, so the next day, she goes back to the hospital with Kovač, under the pretext of seeing Kate one last time. The phone was locked, so she takes the opportunity to unlock it. Then, after going to the bathroom and checking her phone, she finds a number with the name Handyman, but this number belongs to none other than Rob. After checking all the messages, she discovers that Rob and Kate had been having an affair for a long time. Beth is devastated after reading this, as both her best friend and her husband were cheating on her. The police then take Beth into custody again and say that footage from the club clearly shows that she was fighting with Kate. "You knew that Rob and Kate were having an affair, and that's why you probably murdered Kate." Beth says she only recently found out about this, but the police are now suspicious of Beth, so they're not willing to let her go. They confiscate her passport so she can't leave Croatia. Meanwhile, Rob has already returned home to his son. Beth then calls Luka and asks, "If you already knew that Rob and Kate were having an affair, why didn't you tell me?" Luka replies, "Yes, I knew everything, and that was the reason for our divorce. But you were pregnant at the time, so I didn't think it was right to tell you." Now Beth goes and tells Zane everything. Zane says it's possible that Rob committed the murder, but Beth says he couldn't have done that because he was at home that day, taking care of my son. But it's definitely possible that Kate gave me the drugs, so that if I did anything with those boys, she could make a video and show it to Rob. Returning to the apartment, Beth calls Rob and angrily says, "You've been cheating on me all this time. I know everything that was going on between you and Kate." Now, after being caught stealing, Rob starts to apologize, giving her false comfort and telling her to come home. "We'll talk together." But Beth can't go back until the investigation is over. The next day, the police arrive with an arrest warrant and take Beth into custody, stating that they saw her with Zane at a restaurant. Zane is facing charges of having connections with an Albanian criminal gang, and the police suspect him. Beth says, "I don't know anything about all this. He's a taxi driver and a very nice person. He helped me get Kate's bag and mobile." Beth is now at a loss, so she demands to hire a lawyer. The lawyer tells her that no concrete evidence of murder has been found yet. "So you're just being suspected," she says. "You should be reasonable and call me if you have any further problems." Now, Beth is completely embroiled in this mess, but when she returns to her apartment, the story takes a new twist. Beth suddenly discovers a hidden camera and microphone in the mirror, which makes her realize that Jay is recording her every move. Jay is a music composer and has a studio, which he told her about one day. Beth goes to his room and while talking to him, cleverly steals the studio key. As soon as he leaves, she enters the studio, where she discovers that cameras are installed everywhere throughout the lodge, recording everyone's activities. Beth then retrieves video footage from the night Kate disappeared. The video shows that after Beth fainted, Kate, with the help of the boys, put her to sleep in the room. Then, they went to the balcony and had a lot of fun with them. But when she went to the bathroom to take a bath, the two boys took the opportunity and stole her mobile phone and purse and ran away. Kate then followed them in a taxi and returned a short time later in a black car. The footage showed her getting angry with the driver of the black car, but it wasn't clear who he was. Beth took down the car's license plate, but just then, Jay arrived outside the studio. Beth, realizing this, opened the door in panic and tried to push Jay away, trying to escape. Jay tried to convince her that it was all for security reasons, but Beth said, "I found out you were involved in Kate's murder." But Jay, seizing the opportunity, deleted the recording from his phone. Beth tried to stop him, and in the ensuing scuffle, Jay fell unconscious. Beth, terrified, immediately takes the keys and rushes out. She finds Zane, whom she leaves with, and tells him everything. Jay has a recording of that night and is trying to frame her in the murder case. Zane says he's calling the taxi driver with whom Kate had tracked the boys. A short while later, the driver arrives and reveals that he took Kate to the police station to report the theft. Beth is at a loss to understand why Kovač didn't tell her the next day if he had filed a report. Just then, police vehicles arrive, including the black car that actually belonged to Kovač. The police try to catch them, but Beth and Zane start running away because Beth has already realized that Kate returned with Kovač that night and that he must have committed the murder. Zane says, "I'll trick the police, and you go and meet the lawyer somehow." Zane then surrenders to the police, and Beth starts running, but Kovač chases after her and holds her at gunpoint. Beth screams, "You murdered Kate!" The camera recorded everything. "Kate was angry at you. You liked her, but when she didn't listen, you murdered her." Hearing this, Kovač denies doing anything, and a scuffle ensues. But then Kovač slips and falls, killing him instantly. Next, we see the next day. At the police station, Ivana tells Beth that they found CCTV footage that proves Kovač committed the murder. He dropped Kate off at the lodge after filing the theft report. He flirted with her, but Kate refused, and this angered him, leading to the murder. We found more footage from near the sea, which doesn't show Kovač's face, but we strongly suspect it was Kovač. The case is now solved. So, Ivana returns her passport and tells her to go back home, but the story doesn't end there, and the real murderer hasn't been caught yet. Beth goes out and meets Zane, hugs him, and thanks him for helping her despite such a difficult situation. Afterward, she returns home and tries to start a new life with her husband. Then, a few days later, when she asks Rob for the car keys to go to a function, he tells her to get them from the drawer. But while searching for the keys, he finds a broken bead from the same necklace he had gifted to Kate. Seeing this, Beth realizes that Kate's real killer wasn't Kovač, but Rob. She immediately goes to the bathroom, calls the police, and then comes out and tells Rob, "Now I know everything. You went there that night and you killed Kate." Rob initially denies it, but when she shows him the bead from the necklace, he confesses, "Yes, I did go there that night." But Beth tries to tell him the opposite. "I went to convince Kate that there can be nothing more between us, because I want to start a new life with her. But she started threatening me, saying, 'I'll tell you everything.' We had an argument over this, and I slapped her, causing her to fall and injure her head." He then tries to convince Beth that it was just an accident, so please don't tell the police. But Beth doesn't believe him and says, "She didn't want to betray me further by ending the affair with you. I read everything in the messages that day. You deliberately left Kate there to die, because the report said she died by drowning." Then we learn that Beth had already called the police on the phone, and they overheard the entire confession. Seeing this, Rob, enraged, tries to grab her, but Beth kicks him in the face, injuring him, and then escapes from their house with her son. Meanwhile, we see the police arrive and arrest Rob. Beth was now free from this suffocating life and had avenged her best friend, and that's where the story would have ended. I hope you liked this movie explain video. If you want to see more similar movie explain videos, then you can watch this video by clicking here. Now I go and see you in the next video.